All right, I want you to take a little trip down memory lane here. Remember when Joe Biden and his Department of Defense swore that right-wing extremism is the biggest threat to the homeland? Well, that was a year ago, if you can believe it. And after investigating that threat for a whole year to desperately uncover what Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin calls extremism in the ranks, the Pentagon report just came out. And, well, listen to what they just found.
We believe that less than 100 or about 100 active duty or reserve component members of the military participated in some prohibited extremist activities.
Oh, boy, this is rich. Less than 100 or about 100, as he said. That's out of 2.1 million active service members. So nearly nobody, even by their definition of extremism, which I think actually means they voted for Trump and was vocal about it. Well, of course, 100 people doesn't fit their terrorists are in our ranks narrative. So what does the Department of Defense do? They issue even more guidelines to identify extremism in the military, guidelines that make clear that military members serving under Joe Biden do not share the same constitutional protections as civilians. That's a shame. It's a whole lot of vague talking points, subjective definitions, and virtue signaling. And the result, once again, is a weaker military. Well, someone who knows this very well is former Space Force commander. He blew the whistle on the whole woke indoctrination of our military. He's the author of the book, Irresistible Revolution. Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer is with us. So their new guidelines are linking white nationalist and extremist comments on social media, that's a no-no. Supporting groups that want to overthrow the government, no-no. Advocating for terrorism, that's a no-no. Well, of course those things should be a no-no, and I'm sure they were looking for those exact things, and yet they come up with just 100 people. Now, I know that one terrorist could do great damage. I look at what happened at Fort Hood. But my guess is these 100 that they rooted out are not the people like we saw at Fort Hood shooting our members of our military down.
Yeah, absolutely not. Let me point out something else as well. In my book, for 60 pages or so, I provide concrete examples of what should be considered by the Defense Department extremist behavior. But guess what? It's not the kind of extremism the Defense Department senior leaders seem to be on the hunt for at the moment. People chanting for cities to burn down, for example, should be extremist behavior. I know at least one active duty lieutenant colonel who's in command of a unit right now who's been posting about that on his social media in the last year, but he's not been held accountable. And there are unfortunately even senior leaders who have joined the fray in parroting Marxist revolutionary phrases, chants to dismantle, destroy the country, or to join in the revolution. And we've had even senior military leaders question before the Senate Armed Services Committee and the House Armed Services Committee. Admiral Michael Gilday comes to mind, who's advocated for his sailors to read Ibram Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist book, which advocates for discriminating in the present to fix discrimination of the past, to pursue violence in the present to fix violence of the past. If that's not extremist, I'm not sure what exactly they're after. So people do need to be held accountable for their extremist views, and we've had some really good examples of that coming out of senior military leaders in the past year.
Yeah, the shame is one extremism is okay, and another, which seems to me even political thought, which isn't even extreme, is what's outlawed. That's a real big shame. But we always appreciate you calling attention to this. Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer, as I've been saying to every guest this week, Merry Christmas to you. I wish you a great New Year coming up as well.
Grant Stinchfield is on Newsmax every night, fighting for the America First agenda.